Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you all are having a great Sunday morning and a great weekend so far. If you haven't tuned in any this weekend so far, things are getting much more active. What we're going to do in this video is really just talk about today and talk about the severe weather potential across portions of Arkansas, portions of the Mid-South in general, even areas of the southern sections of the Ohio Valley. There's definitely some things to talk about here. Later today, we're going to break down the midweek system that has the potential to be a snowstorm for parts of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, southern New England mainly. And then we're going to start to break down another system that I'm watching for next weekend. I really want some model runs to come through and for things to stay a little bit consistent. But for this system next weekend, around this time next weekend, it looks incredibly. All the models are really zoning in on this about a week out, but things could easily zone out and go away. But we're going to talk about that in the video this afternoon and this evening, so stay tuned for this because that could be a significant system if what is showing right now is what's to happen. And we'll talk more on that tonight. But right now, we're going to talk about the severe weather potential today. So there is a slight risk stretching all the way from extreme northeastern parts of Texas going all the way into parts to Kentucky, and it's covering, I would say, 80 to 90% of Arkansas, western areas of Tennessee, even northwestern areas of Mississippi. Then you got a marginal risk going all the way from Houston all the way to southern sections of the Ohio Valley. So this does look to be a severe weather event today. Do I think it's going to be super significant? I don't. But it's going to be active, and it's going to be kind of like a spring day across these areas today, but in a fall version. Tornado risk, you got a 5% chance in this area, 25 miles at any given location, then the 2% surrounding it. I know 5% doesn't sound a lot, like I always say, but if you just happen to be that 5%, I mean, you're going to know it, right? I mean, it's going to be impactful to your life. So definitely pay attention, know how to use a radar. Have some kind of radar on your phone. I'll always recommend Radar Scope. You can plug in your exact address on this app. I use it, and it's incredible. And it's pinpoint accurate up to minutes, so you really know what's going on. I think the big threat today, though, is going to be the wind threat. 15% chance of wind damage in any given 25 miles in this location. There is an isolated chance of some hail. I think early on, when some isolated, discrete cells form, we could potentially have some supercells to form in Arkansas mainly. So we got to watch out for that for sure. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at the what the radar could potentially look like today, and I really think this is pretty much on track to what it's probably going to look like. So we're getting into 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're getting into around noon, so this is around 11 a.m. for parts of Arkansas, Texas, Missouri, Tennessee, and Mississippi, these parts that we're talking about. Getting into early afternoon, you notice there's going to be a couple cells developed here right in central to southern Arkansas. These are the cells that could really produce some large hail, could produce some isolated tornadoes, and this is what we got to watch out for. Your winds are going to be screaming out the southwest. You got a positive tilted trough setting up here. And it's going to be surging in low-level moisture. Temperatures are going to surge. I'm not talking about temperatures in the mid-80s or anything like that, but they're going to be warm enough. So the thermodynamics in place, there will be a lot in place here for a severe weather event. But quickly, I would say there's a 1 to 3 hour period where you could have some isolated supercells. And whoever's in central Arkansas needs to pay attention to these isolated supercells because they could pack a punch. Eventually, it'll basically use up all the ingredients in place to promote any kind of discrete supercell. You're starting to get into the evening time period, and then what we watch out for here in southern. Sorry, I'm a little stopped up a little bit this morning, guys. So I'm trying to talk and breathe at the same time. But in southern Missouri, you have this line of storms that really gets going, and this even stretches into areas of Illinois, even Indiana. So watch out for severe weather here. This line develops quickly and turns into a linear threat, and this is going to move in through overnight. So if you're in Little Rock to Memphis, Jonesboro, in points south and east, watch out for this because this is going to wake you up probably in the early morning hours. But this is for overnight tonight into Monday morning. Intense line of storms develops, tracks all the way through and moves through Nashville. You're getting into the early morning hours. This is stretching from all the way to Dallas, all the way up to Cleveland. This is an intense line of storms. It's not going to be severe everywhere along this line, but I think there is a chance for embedded tornadoes in this, but I don't think it's going to be widespread. I think the most dangerous tornado threat is going to be early on Sunday today. I think there's just going to be some strong winds with this. This moves through, and let's see if we can, make it go out a little bit more. But as you can tell, it begins to weaken as it drags more and more southeast. So I don't think this is going to continue to hold strong as it gets into Georgia and the Carolinas, but I do think some rain can make it into Georgia, into the Carolinas, and obviously Alabama. Notice the lake effect snow is already popping up here, so there's definitely some cold air funneling behind this. You look at the ingredients in place. Like I said, this is a positively tilted trough, which a lot of times is not near as significant when you have a negatively tilted trough. That's when you normally get the big time severe weather. But moving forward here, you notice the winds at the 850s just above the surface are really screaming here. So if you're waking up in Arkansas this morning, chances are it's one of them days where you look up in the sky and the clouds are just going crazy and moving very fast. That's because you have a little bit of a low-level jet showing, popping up ahead, which promotes severe weather, provides a lot of wind energy. If you look at the low-level moisture surge here, getting into, this afternoon, look how the dew points surge, before the cold front kicks in. And then you have a big-time clash of low dew points and then high moisture right here. Dew points surging into the 60s all the way into southern Missouri. So when you get dew points in the 60s, that's definitely enough moisture to promote severe weather. So you have, severe, as far as dew points, higher dew points and more of a moisture flow, you got that in place. But look at this really dry air that funnels in behind this. And this is how it is this time of the year in the fall. You get a day or two where it's warm, a severe weather threat, and then you get some kind of trough that kicks through, and then it's back to winter very quick. And that's what's going to happen, especially in Arkansas, as you'll wake up Monday morning, and it's back to feeling like fall and winter. As far as the Cape, there's going to be enough Cape in this little area early on. Watch out in southern and central Arkansas. Enough Cape. You got, potentially raising up to the 18 to 2,000 joules per kilogram range. That's enough Cape to feed some of the thermodynamics in place for some supercell development. And, it surges ahead. The Cape rises, potentially the 2,000 joules per kilogram. Potentially. This might be overdone in the HRRR ahead of this energy that's going to pop up for this line of storms. And then obviously the front moves through, chops the Cape completely down to zero. The significant tornado parameter spikes early on in this area right here. You got to watch out from a 2 to a 3 out of 10. And then, ahead of the line, there could be a tornado threat. You got to watch out here. Some ingredients might be in place, but I really think that for the most part, the tornado threat's going to be in them discrete cells. But, it definitely could be there in that line of storms too, which I hope not, because those are the most dangerous tornadoes, because normally you don't see them coming. You look at wind gusts, it's going to be very windy ahead of this front. And then obviously when the line of storms moves through, there's going to be strong winds, and then there's going to be strong winds behind the front too as the wind shift occurs. But it's pretty cool to see this. You got winds coming out the north generally, and then winds surging out the southwest. So this is going to be a pretty tight gradient cold front as the winds are going to suddenly shift, and then the old man winter comes on back. So active day across this area, so hope you guys are ready. I don't anticipate any kind of tornado outbreak or anything, but definitely some severe weather. But that's all I got, guys. Stay tuned tonight. There's a lot to talk about tonight. There really is. I'm watching the storm system next weekend. Y'all have a great day, and God bless everybody.